Hello, hello. Oh, Philly. What you got? You okay? Hello. This is the Red Pill. This is a late show, so I don't even know how many people will really get this. But it's a show I've been dying to do, and I've been having trouble keeping Olivia asleep. She's probably traumatized, that poor baby. But I just wanted to talk to you guys, let you know a few things. Hey, Shabby, how you doing? Yeah, there's not going to be that many people. It's late. But we're going to go over these things anyway. If I have to go over them again, I will. But I'm sure they'll watch the replay. So, yeah, the other night, that wasn't them cutting me off. My phone died. All right. I mean, my computer died. Man. All right. So, where do I begin? Well, I'm willing to take calls for one. Put the number in there. Any calls, any questions? But I'll try to cover all that. All right. So, the craziest experience of my life. Maybe not even the craziest, but it's up there. Top five. Was what happened with this car accident. I mean, it was a 4-car accident. Out of the 4 cars, I was the third. Basically, it's like one of the biggest routes in Massachusetts. I don't want to say what it is, give away location, but it's one of the biggest routes in Massachusetts that isn't a highway. So, so what happened was it was like a abrupt accident. I don't know what is up with what happened with that first car, but they abruptly stopped, and the next car hit them. They didn't have time to stop. I didn't have time to stop, and I really smashed the car in front of me. And that's the moment I want to talk about. There was another car coming, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. That's pretty crazy too. I believe now more than ever in guardian angels, and you guys can hear me well, because I don't want to. This isn't like easy to talk about, but I just want to. You guys can hear me well. So what was I saying? See, this is what I mean. This is what the problem is. The head injury. That's what I'm worried about. I keep forgetting things. You don't know how many passwords I've had to recreate and then forget and then recreate and then forget. All my passwords are all scattered now because I keep forgetting. Which isn't good. I know. I'll be seeing a doctor about that. But so you know what, Brian? That's what my lawyer said. So I'm trying to talk about my experience in the car. Brian's so right. Because you're really a smart guy, Brian. Because that's exactly what my lawyer said. I was like, I got a YouTube channel. Can I tell you? He goes, don't talk about it in detail. But what I just said isn't disputed at all. But that's a good point. Let me take that down, though. No, he's right. My lawyer said the same thing. He said, just don't talk about it on your show. You talk about the basics, but don't get into the details. But I'll get into the details about what happened with me in that car. Usually, I put on a seatbelt. Ever since I became a father, I'll put on a seatbelt. So I was going to pick up my mother. I didn't put on my seatbelt. I mean, we were only driving for not so long before this happened. And the thing is, the airbags didn't fully deploy. I don't know what's going on with that. Whereas the other cars, all their airbags deployed, yet I got the worst of it. When you look at all the cars, I'll show you pictures. I don't mind doing that. So what really like struck me was, well, first of all, is right after it happened, all I could think about was my daughter. And a witness said like the accident happened, and then it was like 2 seconds later, and I exited out of the rear door where the car seat was. Because what I did instinctively, I mean, I was already halfway like in the back of the car. I smashed the windshield with my head, and then I somehow ended up towards the back, but like still in the front. And I just climbed the rest into the back. I like supersonics. It's like so crazy, like the adrenaline. And I was extremely injured too. Nothing's gonna stop me from getting my daughter out of there, especially when it's still a live situation. It's still another car coming, and I got her out of that seat, and I had her on the side over the guardrail within 3 seconds. I mean, that's what the witness said to my mother, and it's like it's amazing what comes over you in a situation like that. But basically, when I look at the pictures, and I'll show you, I should be dead. I should definitely be dead. The tow truck driver asked if there was a fatality, but he said, you know what? He might have been saved by this, and I'll show you what. So my mother, she always has on her visor, she has the guardian angel thing, and then my father's what is it called when people die and you get the card? My father's card from when he died, from the funeral, with his funeral under there and rosary beads. So, you know, because she's Catholic, she's a believer, 100%. She doesn't practice so much, but she's definitely a believer. So let me just show you. So I'll try to get one with the windshield. Right. I don't know if you guys can see that shit. It's too much of a glare. I might have to load this up. I don't know if you guys can see that. Too much of a glare there. Well, the windshield's all smashed. Oh man, you guys gotta see it to know though. The windshield is all. Can you guys see it? If you can, here's the windshield. Right there. You see it? That's the rest of it. Oh, everything else gone. Like the battery was like on the other side of the car. All the engine parts are all like mixed around. Closer. Oh yeah, you're right, Sherbear. All right. And you see the windshield? It's all smashed in, and there's one point in particular where it like protrudes out. Like, you know, that was my head. That was the main impact. But if you look real close, you'll see a visor. Now, I didn't have the visor down. I don't think. I might have. It was a nice day. I might have, but I doubt I did. I did. I think the impact maybe made the visor go. So when I hit that windshield, it was almost like I put the head visor on my head and hit the windshield. Now, because when I got out, I was like, I have to be. After I knew my daughter was okay, she was crying, but her arms were moving. She was talking to me. Her legs she was fine. I knew she was fine right away. The hospital was even like, you know, do you want us to take a look at her? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, you know, make sure. But yeah, she was out of there quick. She was out of there right away. So my daughter was 100% okay. Thank God for those. I have a good Well, my mother, I was in my mother's car, so we were in hers, but she has a very even better one, car seat. So that visor has the guardian angel like clip with my father's thing, and that thing went down, and my head smashed into it, and then into the windshield. You know what? I should just load up these pictures. Hold on. You know what? Yeah, I'll just do one. Save. I could what could I do? I can't even think, man. My head. Oh shit. Duh. It's really aggravating me. All right, I'm gonna set. I'm gonna. Lets me. I'm gonna tweet it. That way, let me show you guys. So, all right, let's go. Let's go share screen here. I just want to show you guys this stuff, and then we're gonna get into the other stuff. But I just got to get this stuff off my chest because it's just I just can't stop thinking about how lucky I am. Not just once, but twice. It's a pretty crazy situation. Oh, that's for later. Okay. What am I doing? Oh yeah, Twitter. Man, I'm worried like I'm gonna lose my sharpness, you know? Maybe it's just for now. Shit. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Look at the windshield. Look real close. That's the visor. That's where the impact was. You see that it protrudes there. That's where my head hit. All right. And then I must have ended up in between the seats here and like instantly got her out the car guardrail. It was like 2-3 seconds. She said she couldn't believe it. But you know, the injuries don't set in till later. Luckily, no broken bones. I just got a bunch of what ifs. You know, my neck. There's a broken vertebrae thing, but they don't know if that's. They said there's a chance that I've had that for a while, and there's a good chance of that. A lot of I got into a lot of street fights when I was young, and there's one time in particular I got a steel boot to the head and went unconscious. It could be that. It could be a few things, or it could have been from this, but. Yeah, the pain don't even bother. They didn't even give me pain meds. I was like, I can't take pain meds. So I want to tell you guys a story. So, well, first let me finish that. So yeah, so I got her out, but that visor protected my head. I should have smashes all over my head, and I don't. I got cut back here, but that's from glass, I think, because I think my head protruded. It protrudes. I wish my mother got a picture from the side because the glass protrudes out. But I think the thing went down and protected I when I got her a side road and all of a sudden someone came up to me. I'm like, am I covered in blood? And they're like, no. I'm like, what? And I went like this. I don't know, looking at my hands. And a lot of it's kind of cloudy thinking about it. But I remember that, and I was like, there was no blood. So, yeah, I definitely got definitely got whiplash. It's just a matter of there's a broken vertebrae back there. So it's they said bone spur. I don't even know what a bone spur. When I think of bone spur, I think of Trump not going into the military, which I'm gonna get into Trump soon too. I'm not very happy with Trump right now. But then again, I kind of think to myself, is he kind of he's in a tough position. So It's so crazy. The night before, I got on my knees. Literally got on my knees. Because I've been going through a lot. And I prayed for strength to be able to, like, do everything I need to do. I was slacking in school. I had to keep up in school. And most importantly, provide the best life I can for my daughter. And then I got in an accident. But thank God, she's okay. Sorry, I wasn't talking into the mic. So yeah, they say a bone spur on one of my top vertebrae where there's like a line down the middle of it. So he goes, we don't know if it's from this or a prior accident. So yeah, that's you can see the visor. See the visor? See the shape of it? And then this is where my head hit. But the visor's there. See, and it protrudes out right here. So I got wicked lucky, to say the least. I got very, very lucky in this situation. Oh, I wasn't even showing. All right. But I got very, very lucky. Yeah, with me, Amazing Baby, it was like a line. It's like a hairline. I don't know if it's a hairline. He tried to put it in layman terms to me, but I understand some medical terms. My mother's in the medical field, but I don't know. It's like some kind of line going down one of my vertebrae. So I gotta go get seen for that. She's always whining. It's because I'm not letting her come and lay down. Here, Philly. You can lay here. Come on, Philly. You can lay here. Can you guys still hear me? I just hit a button. But he didn't say hairline. Because I was looking for that word. He said line. He said there's a line, a fracture. I mean, wouldn't he say hairline? He said a line. Good evening, Alfred. He said there was a line going right down the vertebrae. I'd like to get all the medical records and check them out. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. We get to the hospital, and there's only so many places that handle, like, severe trauma, and there was potential severe trauma there. Because when they saw the windshield, they said, yeah, you're going to UMass Memorial. And my daughter, I held on to her the whole time in the ambulance until and she was actually okay. She was chilling until we got there. And then after about 20 minutes, my mother showed up and took her. And by then, I already had her registered, and she was going over to pediatrics. And she was totally fine, 100%. And I've been, like, checking things on her, and she's fine. Thank God. I believe now more than ever. Got angels, all that. I mean, I should have been dead 10 times over throughout my life. But it's just different now with a daughter and just how that went down. But then there's no rooms available. It was like a wicked busy night. They put me in the corridor waiting for a CAT scan, MRI, and X-ray. And I'm next to this woman, and she's an Asian woman. They started asking her questions. She don't speak English. And these are like the most high-tech hospitals in the world. If you guys don't know, Massachusetts has the most high-tech, best healthcare, like best hospitals in the world. People come from all over the world to go to the Massachusetts hospitals and schools. But so in Massachusetts, we're fortunate in that way. I know, right? Yeah, Brian, I was like half out of it. And that's what I wanted to, let me tell you that first. So they couldn't give me, I didn't want pain meds. I refused pain meds. You know what they gave me? Ketamine. And they didn't even warn me. She comes up. I'm like, what's that? because I want to make sure I don't have any opiates in my body. I'm like, I don't want any opiates. She's like, what's that? She's like, I said, we know, this isn't an opiate. It's ketamine. Oh, and by then my brother had gotten there, and my brother was like, huh? And I'm like, ketamine. I'm like, isn't that like a thing that people like give animals, or like special K or something like that? So she gives me the ketamine automatically. They should tell you you're going to hallucinate. You're going to trip. She gives it to me. All of a sudden, I start screaming, my soul's leaving my body. I'm dying. And then I started calming down. And I started and the whole time, I guess, she was running to get another needle because they're supposed to give the second dose would put me out. The first dose puts you in a different realm. I was like in a different realm. It was so crazy. There was no spirits, but it was a different dimension. It felt like it was so crazy. And trust me, I'm not some retard who knows nothing about drugs. When I was younger, I did it all. So I understand what being high is and what going to a different realm is. Ketamine was crazy. I could that's the thing though. I could feel something leaving me. And I started screaming it out. I told my mother I loved her. I mean, it was a scene. I mean, but in my head, I was just in this realm. But really, I'm just in this hospital surrounded by all these people all lined up, all scaring all the other patients. So they hit me with a second debt. See, I didn't know what I was getting into. They should explain it. Maybe if I knew I was going to trip, I could have handled it better. But I freaked out. So then they gave me a second one, and my mother told me after that, she's like, he is out. Because she pretended to slap my face and I didn't hesitate. And then she started clapping at my ears, like something that would make you startle. Nothing. So I guess I was out, but I wasn't out long. And I came back and I was still in that realm. And I started just exploring it. And I'm just like, I was thinking it was like DMT, but it's not. I mean, it's not. DMT's totally different, but it's mind altering. And I do believe there's other dimensions, by the way. It's actually, I'd be a fool to say I don't believe it because it's been proven. It's what they're really doing over at CERN. The fact that they have a quantum computer like G-Wave proves that there are other dimensions. So, I mean, that's not really up for debate. Yes, a K-hole, which I later found out from my brother. I've heard of that. I thought that was just something they did down south. Up here, we don't do meth or all that stuff. My brother told me you were in a K-hole. You can't move, and you're in a different realm. But before they give you that crap, they should let you know, you're gonna hallucinate. It's not real. But they were probably more worried about the woman next to me, who I'll get to right now. So reports start coming out. Oh, wait, wrong one. All right. Share screen. Yeah, I know, Brian. It's I've watched all that 10 times over. It's crazy. All right. So check. So here's a little story. Show you guys what I'm talking about here. I think I had to unplug the mic. Actually, the mic will just pick it up, I think. If you guys can't hear it, just say no.
Learned the patient is hospitalized with an unrelated coronavirus health issue. UMass Memorial in Worcester confirms a patient with an unrelated coronavirus health issue is under quarantine here, being monitored by the Department of Public Health after she traveled to China and returned to the U.S. That patient said to be showing no signs nor symptoms of coronavirus, but the information comes as the CDC issues a new warning to Americans about the possibility of a coronavirus outbreak, telling U.S. citizens it could be bad.
We are committed at the CDC and across HHS and the U.S. government to radical transparency, to making sure we're sharing what we know when we know it, and we're giving you a sense of what the future may hold.
Local hospitals are preparing as the number of confirmed U.S. cases climbs over 50.
There's no question it will put surge stress on the healthcare system, and this is something that probably we will have to all accommodate.
With health officials on high alert, there's still a push to keep people calm and avoid a nationwide panic.
More than 80%
That's all they're
of
trying to
illness
do.
is actually mild illness, and only a little bit more than 10% of people need hospital care.
And there are things we can do to protect ourselves.
The people should remember there's lots they can do to protect themselves, wash their hands, cover their cough, and that the vast majority of people have mild illness.
And we do want to let you know we've learned as of midnight that patients' quarantine window is over. Reporting live in Worcester.
Oh,
Nicole
good.
Curley, WCBB,
I didn't hear this
News
one.
Center 5.
Oh, well, good. I guess I'm okay, right? I guess I'm all right. I don't know. Well, she wasn't symptom free. She was in there with a serious illness. And now I don't know if it was the woman next to me. It's just Worcester isn't exactly a huge Asian community. I mean, there is like a somewhat big Vietnamese community, but this one was talking. It's just weird. And by the way, it ended up being a female. I said if it ends up being a female, then I'll get worried. It was a female. She was right next to me. There was no one on my other side because I was literally at the doors. So every traumatic injury that came through that door, I had seen once I was aware, which took a while. But the woman next to me, she was talking about how she passed out at work and she was throwing up and she couldn't breathe. And all of a sudden the next day, woman quarantined at hospital, at the same hospital I was at, which I got the paperwork. It's just if I heard this story, I'd be like, bullshit. But you know what? That's good news. She yeah, see that? I don't want to give my name, but oh shit. So why am I having so much trouble doing this? Because left is right and right is left. UMass Memorial. So that's where I was. And it was the next day that they came out with that story. And I was like, holy shit. And I'm thinking about what she said. And I'm like, I didn't see many Asian people there. And I said, if it turns out to be a female, I'm going to get worried. Turned out to be a female. Now, what they didn't say in that broadcast, they said in the other broadcast that I thought I was showing you, is that she was serious. She was sick, very sick. She did have something going on. But apparently her quarantine has ended as of midnight tonight. So that's good news. But that just really, the point I'm making, I'm like right now just realizing I'm most likely fine because I've been worried. I haven't left the house because I'm like, you know, the last thing I would want to do is spread it. You know, somebody who goes into an ER like that and lays in a bed next to everyone. She just came from China and lays there and just get. I mean, I understand she's hurt and sick or whatever, but this isn't racist to take someone that's Asian and just put them somewhere else. And if they have any type of symptoms, which she did, but I guess the symptoms weren't related to the coronavirus. But then again, do we really know what's going on behind the scenes? The more and more I'm seeing, now I still stand by, the people who say that coronavirus is fake are out of their mind. Out of their mind. Sorry, but that's my opinion. You're out of your mind. But what I do question is how it started, why. It's help me here, head injury. Hegelian dialect, right? Create a problem. The problem happens. People become fearful. People become more compliant. Similar to 9/11 and then the rollout of the Patriot Act, which changed our lives forever. And as somebody who was a crypto in the Navy with a top secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information clearance, trust me, the Patriot Act changed everything. I was in when it was implemented. So, and then you go to afterwards, and it's like, what's the end game here? Now, there's been different theories I've been hearing, a lot to do with the economy. We see what's happening with the economy. I can't help but think that it has something to do with trying to take down Trump. Or, is there like some kind of like silent war going on? Did China do this on purpose? A lot of elderly are dying because of this. A lot of people think that China, they have an elderly problem. They have a lot of elderly people. Maybe they want to rid themselves of it. I just don't know. I just don't know. Studies have shown that elderly and as far as contracting it, Asian men contracted the most. Now you say, yeah, duh, because it's in China. No, it's like they've figured out the genome, and if you put a black guy, white guy, Asian guy, the Asian guy is going to get it. And the male will get it before the female. Just like it's all genetics. People like deny genetics these days. I hate that. It's real. There are differences in all of us. Like for instance, black people get, what is it called? In the blood. What is it? Brian, help me out. What's the blood disease that's common in African Americans? Sickle cell. Sickle cell. I'm surprised I got that. That's not across all people. I mean, when it comes to medicine, it does matter what your genome is, right? Sickle cell, exactly. So, same thing with the coronavirus. So the fact that and we know that it was engineered, and we know that the level 4 lab was in Wuhan, right? And it got out to the public. It is shady, and it makes me wonder, with China's economic situation, yet they have been, we're leading in tech, but they, as far as like cryptocurrency, things like that, like they've been making moves. And I think that this could be something that leads to an economic shift. I've been hearing. There's someone I highly respect on YouTube, Montegraph. I mean, this guy, he's on. He's a little crazy, but in a good way. You know, if you can tolerate it, you're gonna get some great information. That's all that matters to me. And I mean, he's a master hacker. Well, you know, he can get anything on anyone. He's always pulling every single one of his videos. As soon as he finishes it, it goes blank, like someone took it down. I don't know how he's still on YouTube, but he gets lawyers involved. He's good. And he was talking about that, and this could be the beginning of us going to an electric currency. That's one. I'm just putting out the options. I'm not saying I necessarily 100% agree with them, but then of course there's the you know, the VAC, and you know, everyone mandatory. There's that, which totally makes sense, but it almost makes too much sense. I just think that as a country, we are more awake than ever. Nobody trusts the news. People won't trust that. Yeah, of course there'll be a bunch of people that go get it, but not everyone. And by the way, the what I heard from a source, and this is a new source, by the way. If you see the market hit 23, that's it. That's it. So, I mean, it dropped big today, and I don't know. I don't know which theory is wrong. I'm not going to sit here and tout a theory, you know, just like say this is what's happening and fearmonger. Although that's not fearmongering, in my opinion. These people really are trying to figure it out. I just feel like this one and the shot, I feel like it's just too predictable. But you know what they say. What is it? Occam's razor, the least crazy idea, the most sensible idea is usually the answer. So I don't know. I just think it's a little bit simple. I don't know if we would all go along with it. An Amazing Baby sent me something that was really interesting in the email. I'm going to get to that. Now, I was supposed to do a show days ago, but I'm forgetting the mic. Can you guys even hear me? I mean, this mic is so good, you can probably still hear me. The mic. So you guys can hear me talking? Oh, my. You guys could hear me that whole time? You know what? And that's, I'll be honest, Brian. You know what was my first reaction when I found out about the coronavirus? I said, the United States did it. That was my first reaction. Because we had just signed the deal. And it's like, why would we do it? We just got this great deal. And we know that Trump, if you listen to Trump all the way back to the 80s, he's been talking about China and how China has been ripping us off and how we need to take on China. So, hey, how you doing, Tony? Yeah, about a half hour. So really, that was my first reaction, Brian. Does anybody want to call in, by the way? The next thing I was going to get into is a whistleblower who committed suicide. Although even normies aren't buying it. Even people who, are in the truth community aren't buying it. And I'm definitely not buying it. And I have people who knew them personally who are pissed. They are so pissed off about this. No, I'll show you a few things here. Hey, what's up, brother? Good to see you, Tony. All right, so where are they? Where'd everything go? Oh, you guys can't see a screen anyways. I gotta pull this stuff up. All right, Untitled. I got that. All right. All right, so I'm gonna share this video. Check it out. Oh wait. So before we get into that, we're gonna take a call. I'm good. It's just a precaution until I see the specialist. When I take it off, it does hurt, but I'm all right. It's the head I'm worried about.
I wouldn't worry so much actually about your head. I think that you got a skull there, and it really protects it pretty well. The only reason why I called you is because I myself was hit by a drunk driver back about 22 years ago.
Wow.
And I just shrugged the whole thing off, Tony. I said, hey, no big deal, right? I thought that whiplash was something invented by lawyers. Well, sadly enough, 3 days later, I found out otherwise. So take it seriously, Tony. Right now, I know we're all concerned about this coronavirus thing. And, I've been telling people from the beginning, like for over a month now, it doesn't look good. It looks pretty bad. But right now, you've got to do a threat assessment, right? We're talking about the Occam's razor. And so I've come up with the conclusion that really they're trying to distract us, right, with this, right, and like Mick Jagger said, try your imagination with a bunch of useless information. And so you need to be able to do a threat assessment. You said you were in the military, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, you've got to prioritize. You got to look around you and say, what right now is the biggest threat to my well-being? Do you understand what I'm saying? Not just short-term, but long-term also. And I don't know what happened here. You were in a car accident or you had a fall?
Car accident.
Somebody rear-ended you.
Huh?
Did somebody rear-end you? Or
Well, it was multiple cars. I was the third out of four. Yeah.
So you had a whole pile up on you.
Yeah. It was a big one.
Headrests. I didn't have headrests on the vehicle I was hitting. It was a little 74 Alpha Spider convertible, and I was restoring it, and I didn't put the headrest back on it when I took it for a drive, and I really regretted that. It's an important
is that when it happened?
I think that people overlook this, that it's an important piece of safety equipment. No, it happened somewhere back in the late 90s.
Oh, no, I was saying if it happened, like when the headrest wasn't installed.
Oh, yeah. Right, that's why I think I got such a bad injury. But, after this, I've really been, the neck problems, right, back problems, my father suffered with a bad lower back. So I knew that the back problem was bad, but when I really had it, and I can see, Tony, this is the reason why I called you, because I can see if I had done something about it, immediately. I didn't just shrug it off, right, and kind of ignore it. And I had taken it seriously and done things that I ended up having to do later on for, years on end, to try and feel some normalcy in my life, so I wasn't in agony all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know. I do. Yeah.
Okay, so you got things like ultrasound traction, massage. I would recommend, I don't know when this happens, but a week after, go for a massage. I know it seems kind of hippy-dippy and foo-foo, but that was one of the things that helped me the most.
Yeah.
Another thing is you got to get them to spit out a prescription for this traction machine. They've got this $20,000-$30,000 traction machine in one of these, physical therapy facilities somewhere in your area.
Yeah.
You got to tell your doctor, I want one of these things and I want treatment with this thing. Again, a week or two down the road, if you're feeling good enough, I would, check with them. Of course, they're probably not going to want to have you do something too strenuous. But you need to watch out for balling up here. This is what happened to me, right? I locked up like a rock. Right, my neck just really, I couldn't even turn my neck. I had to turn my whole body.
See, that's what I'm worried about. When I have taken it off, and it's like I feel like the device, the neck brace alone is making my neck screwed up. Like it hurts.
Well, I gotta tell you, this medicine, right? Modern medicine, it's got some really miraculous things it can do, but then again, it does some really stupid things.
Yes, I agree.
I didn't wear a brace, and I regret doing that. So I would advise you not to overdo it, right? If it's feeling uncomfortable, you need to take it off for a while.
Yeah.
You can't keep the thing on all the time.
I did. I would keep my head straight, but yeah, I took it off. But then, like, if I turn my neck, it hurts too much. It just, I don't know. I'm like worried that my neck's like getting stiff. I just don't think it's good to be. But I don't know. The doctors know better, I guess.
Well, I won't even go off into the horror story of all the bad doctor stories, Tony. I mean, at this point now, I feel that modern medicine has become Munchausen by proxy. Are you aware of what this is? This is where a mother will intentionally make her child sick so she can receive attention.
Yeah, it's like Eminem's mother did that.
Yeah, right. So in the case of the doctors, they're making you sick so they can receive Federal Reserve attention. Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
Oh, you want to hear a story, buddy? I told this recently. And I'll never forget it. It was 7/7/07, July 7th, 2007. I hadn't been back from the military long. And I went to a doctor in Boston. And he told me I had HIV.
What?
Yep. And I thought I had HIV for 2 years until they found out that I didn't. And well, after 6 months, they said, well, now we're getting a negative, but it could lay dormant. We're going to send you to a specialist. They had to do like a series of tests every 3 months and then 6 months. And then they said, no, you don't have HIV. And I ended up finding out that doctor ended up going into jail for insurance fraud.
I mean, Tony, what are you going to do? You feel like you're going to die, right? I mean, this is what happens.
Oh, my name's Matt, by the way.
Oh, Matt, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I was saying hi to Tony in the crowd. That's probably why.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm new to your show. I've never seen you before. I'm just surfing the
welcome.
videos, checking stuff out.
Welcome.
And I like your title there. That was what caught my eye. And Matt, I've got a disclosure that I'm going to come out with, and I need to get people on board to help me, disseminate this because it's going to be really, really big. I've uncovered some really big stuff here, and I mean, you got this cute guy talking about the deep state. How is Trump going to drain something that extends out to every nook, corner, cranny, and crevice of America? How's he going to drain that? Right, Matt?
One at a time.
I don't know. It's you drain the swamp, and then everything dies, so to speak. You know what I mean? I mean, it's so interlocked and interlinked from what I can see here.
What I worry about is, let's say he did. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say this is what's held me back because I don't really know what to do to not make the matters worse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
As far as, because I might have talked over you for a second.
Well, it matters worse for myself, for one thing.
Yeah.
but for other people too. I mean, it may not be.
In terms of like just in general, like we're talking deep state coronavirus.
No, I'm not even this has to do with
okay.
Coronavirus. It's just something that in fact, I consider it to be a far greater threat than the coronavirus. Personally,
our government.
The coronavirus is gonna blow over eventually, right? At some point, it'll be gone, another decade or two, whatever. But this problem will still be there, right? I mean, you can agree with this.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, but I like your name. It's a great name. But, when you take the red pill, right, remember on the Matrix, when they took the red pill, how austere the environment of the Nebuchadnezzar was, right, compared to the Matrix. So you have to keep this in mind. You know, Timothy Leary crashed around America selling consciousness expansion, right? As Hunter Thompson said, without giving any thought to the grim meat hook realities that lied in wait.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not some kind of
Interesting.
Timothy Leary here. Where I'm crashing around thinking I'm the great guy, right? I got all the answers. This is going to be good for everybody. I'm trying to consider, you know, all the ramifications.
And that, you know what? That's kind of the idea I went into coming into the show. I just wanted to kind of present what I'm hearing. I'm not signing off on any of it. The only thing I can say for sure is the coronavirus is happening. I just hate it when I hear it's fake and all that. I don't like.
Yeah, I know.
I understand why they say it.
I mean, people saying it's
Now, if they're saying it's
fake, it's crazy.
If they say it's engineered,
yeah,
and it's been used as a bioweapon, hey, you got my attention. I'm with you there.
I left in the comments that the only level 4 bio lab in China is in Wuhan.
Was Wuhan? That was that's what I said. Yep.
Or what?
The only level 4 one, and we're catching all these. We caught the Harvard, the head of biology or virology or something like that. He was like the department head.
Right. Well, and we already know the Chinese are stealing all sorts of intellectual property. So
and this biotech that now they're.
I'm convinced here, they stole something and they didn't realize what they stole.
And then from Canada, there was that situation in Canada where they caught the Chinese spies in their labs.
At the only level 4 bio lab in Canada too, right?
Yeah,
That's where this thing is coming out of. So it really stinks.
And just seeing the president yesterday, the way he tried to play it down, it really rubbed me the wrong way. But I get it. He can't cause widespread panic. You know, the markets are already going down, so he didn't do a good job.
Right. But I mean, you're seeing China. China's a very, these people. I don't want to, seem too negative here, but these people are really sheepalized, right? This is 10,000 years of their culture, and they're very collectivistic. They've taken all the guns away from everybody right back after World War II. So if you look at the comparison between China and the United States, it's a huge, vast difference there.
Oh,
that kind
amazing!
Of panic.
The story of
really
China is truly amazing. I mean, they're one of the more. It's such an ancient culture. They would travel. They were so rich in the ancient days. They would travel all around the world. They down to Africa, and they would just give people stuff free gifts. And then they got a new emperor who started a new thing of kind of like a China first type thing, and they kind of just locked in, But all their history, once the communists came in, they started smashing all their historical. I mean, we're talking things so old. So much history was destroyed in China by this government, and then this government. And they kind of also at the same time though, kind of brought in the Western style way of doing things, in many ways, including medicine. And you have the Eastern medicine that's still going on over there, but those people, they don't believe in masks and all. So they're not wearing masks, they're in trouble. That's why you see a lot of videos of people not wearing masks getting physically dragged out or something like that, because they believe in the old school stuff. It's usually the older people, and there's some people who say that because this targets the elderly more so than anybody, that they're almost trying to wipe out their elderly. I mean, I find that kind of crazy, but I just don't know. It's just another option on the board that are they really going to do all this? I don't know.
There were 1.4 billion of them, so there was a lot of people that crammed.
Oh yeah, that's that too. You know what I think? I think that might be a factor. It's not the reason. You know what I mean? I just think that's another factor. It's when you assess something, you take the pros, you take the cons. All right, if we do this, this is the cons. If we do this, here's some of the good things that can come out of it. And that would be in their pros. It's sick, but that would be in their pros.
Right, and they'd like to do this. I don't want to disclose too much just yet here again because of my own safety. But they like to, it's a multiplicative effect. You know what I'm saying? You get 2 birds with 1 stone sort of thing. That's their line of thinking. So when they do plan things out, I can see that it's planned out in such a way that the algorithms have anticipated what the outcomes are, right, and what's going to come of these outcomes, right, and how do we respond to them. Again, what I've uncovered here, Matt, is not something that I found on the internet. In fact, when I uncovered this, there really wasn't anybody talking about it on the internet. I mean, we had Alex Jones and David Icke. Those were the two big figures back then.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, really, you want to talk about psyops here? I mean,
I know.
Alex Jones going off about ghost spinning spiderweb silk to make bulletproof jackets.
Crazy.
He's just going off in every left field.
I like some of the stuff he said, but yeah, it just goes too far. He says too much, and he makes the truth community look bad. And anyone who makes truth community look bad, I don't like it. That's why I don't like certain YouTubers. But,
I agree.
We
got to keep it real. This is the threat assessment thing, right? What do we have to focus and concentrate on as our number A1 priority? And if you start going off scattered off of, we got chemtrails and 5G and Bigfoot and UFOs, I mean, you're just off in left field. Where are you going to ever see the real world problems that are a true threat to your existence in everyday life?
You don't think 5G will have a role to play in the future?
Well, I don't know, Tony. I mean, sorry, Matt. I don't know because I got that damn Tony in my head now. With the accent you got, right? The Boston accent, you really have this. You even brought it out to me. You can hear my New York accent coming out, talking to you, even though I'm really not from New York.
I'm from Boston.
So, I mean, the 5G thing could be. I mean, we're talking about electromagnetic radiation. In the early days when radar first came out, it was exploding shells on the decks of ships. Now, if organs will explode from electromagnetic radiation, what is that doing to your brain? Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
so
it controls it all. I mean, you've seen that off the Humvees, and they have a bunch of Marines, and they say go ahead, charge us. So like, seriously? They're like, yeah, charge us. And they give them weapons, and they charge, and they turn this device on, and they go running. I mean, that anything that can do that. And it's just I do worry 5G has a role to play in all this, and I don't know if you're religious, but there's a lot of things that match up with the Bible too, which is just a whole nother that's a whole nother I mean that I believe, but that's a whole nother game is what's going on with the Bible. Yeah, it really seems like Revelation.
I mean, the four horsemen are riding right now all over the planet. I mean, the Middle East is a complete
disaster. And what would you consider the coronavirus if you would consider it one of the horses?
I forget.
I would say the white horse. The white horse. A lot of people, most people say the pale horse, but I say it's the white horse who has the bow and the crown. Now, corona means crown.
That's right, it does.
And, a lot of people, like, they look at Bible prophecy and they take it too literally, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever, a prophecy is fulfilled, it's never fulfilled the way they expected it to be. Like, when Jesus came back, they expected something totally different. I mean, not came back. When Jesus was on the earth. Yeah. Right. They expected something different. It just the way he had to fulfill the parables, and he did, but he did it in different ways than they expected. And that's why I think like this white horse could be the coronavirus, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think we've ever seen a time here, at least not in recent history. Right?
Oh, and you know what the white horse does? It sets out to conquer. So with its crown
coming out of this.
and bow, almost like it hits you from afar, just like the coronavirus, See, someone could have the coronavirus, like I was showing a video of people with the corona that were verified with the coronavirus spitting on the elevator numbers and everything, trying to spread it. Pretty crazy. And it's like it's one of those things that you don't even have to be near them. You just have to go somewhere they were. Any of the virus that they left behind lives for 3 days. The craziest part about this,
2 weeks potentially it could live on the surface, depending on the temperatures and the
Depending on the temp, exactly. Warmer climates, it can live up to 2 weeks. Yeah, I was actually talking about, like up here, it would be like 3 days where I live in Boston. Although this has been weirdly enough, this is the warmest summer, I mean winter ever. It's like spring. The whole winter's been like spring. We don't get snow.
I just photographed a monarch butterfly on flowers that are still growing in my front yard in the dead of winter.
I have never seen a winter like this in my life. Never once. And I'm not just saying that. Never even close. I mean, we had multiple days in the 70s. You know, it's been 50s all week here. It's crazy. It's cold now. It got cold again, but when I say cold, it just means near freezing. Whereas normally it's like 0 degrees. You know what I mean?
Months and months of that, right? You're shoveling snow. And,
yeah, it's nonstop. It's nonstop.
Right.
But this winter, nothing. It's just been like, you know, you can go out in your t-shirt half the days. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, we talk about pole shifts, right? We talk about climate change. You know, it just crossed over the meridian there. So technically, we're at pole shift. I mean, it's moved over into the next, you know, whatever the Greenwich Mean Dateline or something like this. So, yeah, it's definitely pretty wacky weather. I don't think that man-made causes can be, you know, to blame for what we're seeing. I really don't think so. Not if you look at the paleoclimatic data. You know, there's been periods throughout that you see these unusually warm periods on Earth or unusually cold periods, and I think we're swinging into another one here.
Yeah.
This one is going to be, who knows yet, right? It's going to be.
Well, a lot of people have been predicting that too. You know, there's just a lot going on, and that's the thing. Have you ever seen a year like 2020 has been so far?
I'm sorry, say again?
Have you ever had a year where we are less than 2 months in and so much has happened?
Yes.
I mean, I look back at some of my video. It's just like, you know, coronavirus, Iran, the whole thing. We thought we were going to war. There's been so many things that I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but there's been so many things that have been happening this month, this year. The impeachment. That's what I mean. There's so many things. I mean, so many historical things are going on at once, all within these last 2 months. It's unbelievable.
Yes, I agree.
And Tony makes a good point. So, you know, in the end, and I kind of live by this, who benefits, right?
Right.
In the end, with the coronavirus, in your opinion, who benefits?
Well, I mean, who benefits from the system in the most part? It's always the elite, right? The 1% that benefits from what goes on in the system. And even if something bad happens, it seems like they turn it around, right? They manage to switch it up so that they get the benefits from it.
You know what? I like that answer. I was thinking us, the U.S., but I agree. Sometimes you can't just think in terms of countries. When it comes to the elite,
well, they don't.
Yeah, they don't think in terms of countries. They're all dual citizens, but that's a good point. Yes, you know what? You're right. The elites benefit the most. You're right.
I mean,
and Bill Gates is knee deep in this whole thing.
To anticipate what's going to happen, right? They can have the think tanks to do all the calculations, right? The permutations that might occur, to have the money to prepare, right, for these kind of upcoming scenarios. So the average everyday guy, we're just barely making a paycheck to paycheck. I don't know
exactly.
About you,
yeah, same here.
I've been talking to people all over the world. I mean, literally Finland, France, Germany, Korea, Vietnam, and everybody. Even maybe their lifestyle is considerably lower than somebody in like Germany. Still living paycheck to paycheck wherever they are.
Yeah, and that's by design. That's by design. Like, is that what we're supposed to do as humans? Is that why we were put on this earth?
No.
To work our asses off, to get stuff, and send our children to these places to be brainwashed while we're killing ourselves just to keep a roof over our head. It's just the whole thing, I think that there is going to be. Yeah, go ahead.
here's where I go with the Alex Jones thing. Alex Jones was always talking, it's a new world order. They're going to bring in a new world order. It's an old one. It's been here forever. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's always been this small elite group of people, however far back you roll in history, that benefit from the system, while the vast majority of people have to slave and toil away, as you said. For what? Just to keep their daily existence going.
So in the chat, there's kind of like some people think the U.S. benefits, some think the U.S. absolutely does not benefit because we depend on China.
Yes,
and that's why I think your answer is the best answer. It's really the elites of the world that benefit, and they don't think in terms of country. But then again, I mean, I don't know. Then again, with the economy, that can't help them. That's got to hurt them big time. I mean, I know that they got, they'll be okay.
$1 trillion, right? So you lose half $1 trillion.
Yeah,
it's a big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, but there's got to be an end game. They gotta. I'm thinking they might switch currencies. I think they might go digital currency. I think that's I heard that today, and I heard it yesterday. And I've been thinking about it more and more, and it's making more and more sense. It's going to get to the point where it's just not going to make sense anymore with, and it's going to be caused by what's going on with this coronavirus.
I mean, we already use a digital currency. Most people pay with things via credit card. I hardly see anybody. I think I'm people that use this cash, right?
I'm thinking more like, because I'm pretty well versed in cryptocurrency and like in the it's not exactly related, but a little bit as far as code. But like in the Navy, I was a cryptologist, top secret clearance, top secret clearance, all that. And I think it's going to cryptocurrency. I mean, everyone's been saying that, for a while, that eventually it's going to go to cryptocurrency. But this could be the thing that does it. If the market continues to go, and with the number that I keep hearing is 23, oddly enough, 23, right? But
that's when the bottom falls out. You're saying, right?
Yeah. And then they go to so that's one theory that I've been hearing kicked around.
Well, my spin on the economy, if I could just real quickly, they've been inflating. I mean, even Trump talked about this big, fat, ugly bubble, right, when he was being elected.
Yes, he did.
And they've been inflating this thing over and over, right? Since the 08 crash, they've been pumping money nonstop into the economy to try and reinflate it. And because of the artificial nature of the stimulus, there's really nothing there, right? I mean, it's hollow. And anything that comes by here, including a little itty-bitty virus, is going to poke a hole in the thing, and it's going to go kaboom. I mean, that's what's going to happen. They propped it up, and once the real world market forces come into play, they can't manipulate things the way they've been manipulating them.
Yes.
I mean, we're seeing a huge deflation. I mean, metals are dropping. Everything is dropping. That's very scary. It's even more scary. I know.
I was surprised by that because I have silver. Richie from Boston. You know Richie from Boston?
No, I'm not familiar.
Oh, he's a YouTuber. He's like a big YouTuber. But I had won it on his show at 5 ounces of silver, and then I decided to get another 5 ounces. So I mean, it's not much, 10 ounces, but I was thinking it was going to shoot up. It's not.
Well, initially it did at first, but then it came back down. The reason why this is remember that everything is part of this economic engine, right? Gold, silver, copper, oil, cotton. And if nobody's buying anything because they're all sitting indoors hiding from a virus, nothing's going to be worth it. It's all going to collapse because the whole economic system grinds to a halt. I mean, you talk about China making things. They make things for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's two-thirds of what's made is made in China, something like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I know the Russians, for example, the Russian army buys their boots from China. Well, the American army buys their boots from China.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're supplying the entire world. And what happens when the supply chain of the entire world just gets kicked into a rut? I mean, the price, we're going to see a tripling in prices. Already in places like Wuhan with these silly masks, they're saying they're paying $2 a mask. I mean, these people, how much are they making an hour to be paying that much for one mask?
Yeah. And you know what? Brian makes a good point. Hold on. Let me pull him up. it really, if it did go to cryptocurrency, if it did go to some kind of, I know what you're saying about the credit cards, but I'm talking about 100%
Yeah,
no cash, no metals, just all
right.
digital currency, right? That's all
Yeah,
on a blockchain.
I was talking
We
about
lose our
mining.
freedoms, as I put on the screen. Brian Wilson makes a good point. We would lose our freedom.
Well, they try to talk about it being crypto, but it's right there in the ledger. You can see what people are doing. It's not really that cryptic in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Say that again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I said it's on a public ledger. People can see what's going on. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not really hidden in that sense.
Oh yeah, no, cryptocurrency, it's totally hidden. It's totally hidden. I mean, it goes on the blockchain. That's why it started out with drug dealers, because they could hide their money. You can hide your money in cryptocurrency.
Tony, and when it was $3 or $4, I was telling people to mine it, and I really didn't want to touch Bitcoin for that reason. Like you said, it was a drug dealer's currency, and I could see that the feds were going to come down on it sooner or later. It was just a matter of time. And I don't like doing anything that might become illegal. I don't do anything that.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I definitely don't want to do something that could become illegal. So
I don't think it's going to be Bitcoin that is but I think that
probably not.
The technology being poured into cryptocurrency. Like, for instance, I'm not getting sponsored by anyone, but personally, there's one called Chainlink, and what it is it's part of the blockchain that makes it easier to it makes it so kind of like what you're talking about, like a ledger, but in a crypto sense. It helps perform the actual transaction. You know what I mean? In the blockchain.
Yeah.
It's a very clever way of doing it. So I put some money into that at one point.
I mean, I think it has, great potential, but the problem being, like with any currency, is what is it backed by? Nothing. So what is its real value ultimately?
Exactly. And you're totally dependent. You do something, and all of a sudden they make some crazy law. All right, that's it.
Right.
Your money's gone. That's why.
You're a federal felon, right? They just do that.
Yeah.
Within 10 years,
Yep.
Like they did with gold when they went to confiscate all the gold back in the 30s. They just made it a 10-year prison sentence to make people give it up.
Yep. This wouldn't be the first time. Yep. That's for sure. Back in the Great Depression.
But again, what are these things backed by? We need to have something that people just can't. I mean, the idea with the whole blockchain, right? But they can't print it off into infinitum. But I've got my doubts about this because look, already with Bitcoin, we're seeing spin-offs, right? New cryptocurrency. So there is room there for it to infinitely expand, so to speak, right? Like printing money out of nowhere. And if the grid goes down, if there's any power issues, internet issues, what are you going to do? How are you going to exchange goods? You're not, because you can't access your wallet. It's electronic.
Well, that's the problem. That's what worries me about this, and I just don't see a future with paper money, or even the way we're doing it with bank accounts. I just don't see a future like that. I just don't.
Well, especially with coronavirus, who's going to be wanting to exchange money?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It's already one of the filthiest things you can handle.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, money is literally the dirtiest thing you can touch. It's dirtier than touching anything. Seriously. Dirtiest things.
Right,
My father always told me that. Yeah, literally, that's what it's like. I see people putting money and like coins in them. Oh, it makes me sick. Well, yeah, this is an amazing call. Anything else? Any other subjects? I mean, you can widen your.
Matt, I could talk on forever, but the problem I'm running into here is my time, right? I could go forever. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I've got a condition that, basically causes me to never sleep if I didn't have to. There's times when I've literally driven across the country continuously, nonstop. I made it to, for example, from California to Florida in 42 hours. And if you just keep driving and don't stop, only for gas, you'd be amazed how fast you get across the country. but I have to be able to reel myself in here. You understand what I'm saying? I can't let myself go off into hyperspace, because once I do, then I might as well just go drive across the country, because I won't be falling asleep for days. So it's a blessing and a curse.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I just want to rest, but I'm like, nah, I gotta get certain information out. Like I'm gonna be talking about the you hear about the whistleblower that was killed?
No,
from the Obama administration.
No,
I mean,
during
the Obama administration, he blew the whistle on them, and he just ended up found dead in his car with a gunshot wound. Supposedly killed himself, but I spoke to someone who knows him personally, and they said he would never kill himself. So I'm about to go over that story. If stick around, it's an interesting story.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk with you again, Matt. I
would love to. No, what was it again? I know it was like a dinosaur.
I got your number here. I'm sorry, my handle? It's Jagzilla.
Jagzilla. Okay, yes.
That's actually the name of an XJS Jaguar that I converted. I put a big black Chevy in it.
Oh, nice.
So it's a real monster now. Yeah. I've actually gotten thumbs up from guys on crotch rockets as they fade away in my rearview mirror.
Yeah.
I had the cops pull me over one time. I had just switched the transmission because I burned it out like 2,000 miles. And I hadn't hooked up the speedometer. And, I know I was going a little fast, but I wanted to test things out. So I just got on it, and I slowed back down after maybe a mile. And this cop comes flying up behind me. I said, oh, great. He probably got me speeding there. So I pull over. He gets out. He goes, do you know how fast you were going? I said, no, I don't know. The speedometer's out, and I don't know, 80, 90 miles an hour. He says, I was doing 135 when you were pulling away from me like I was standing still. I got to give you that credit. That was one of the few times I ever got cut a break. I've had so many speeding tickets in my life.
Yeah, cut a break? Nice.
He let me off with a warning. He was going to write me up for my taillight, but I walked to the back, and I did a Fonzie on it. I hit it, and it came back on. So he was like, okay, you have a good night now. Slow down.
Yeah. Well, at least it came back on when you hit it. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been embarrassing if the Fonzie thing didn't work, right? But no, I knew it was going to work because I'd done it before.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a short in there, It probably was working when I left. It just went out from driving down the road. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, well, hey, I'll keep in touch here. And
please keep in touch. Okay. Check out the show, and don't be a stranger, please. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, great talking to you too, Matt. It's great to talk to like minds.
Yes, really absolutely. So all right, and you have a great night.
Taking the call.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It never ceases to amaze me. Very, very intelligent people watch my show. That was Monograph, by the way. But great call. Thank you for calling, brother. The caller was it's two names combined. Jag. Well, you know what? I think he wanted to stay somewhat anonymous. Jagzilla or something like that. But I think he wanted to stay somewhat anonymous anyway. Jagzilla, Sherbert said. So yeah, great caller. And welcome. I hope that you frequent the channel and call more. All right. It wasn't Zilla, it was Gilla. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about the whistleblower. Check this out. Or if anybody else wants to call in, now is perfect time. I don't mean to. So, if anyone wants to call in, now is perfect time.
Is blowing the whistle, contending that his superiors shut down a program that might have provided an early warning on the terrorists behind last week's attack in California.
Sam Bernardino.
We'll speak with him in a moment. But first to Trace Gallagher with the backstory. Trace?
Megan, for background, we
So
should
this
note
is
in the
from
early
December
2000s,
10th,
Philip Haney was among the
2015.
founding members of the Department of Homeland Security and was later assigned to the Intelligence Review Unit, or IRU. His job was to investigate individuals with potential links to terrorism. And
You guys see that? All right, good.
it was in that capacity that Haney says he noticed a trend of people with suspected radicalized ties coming into the United States. So he began looking into a collection of global networks that were infiltrating radical Islamists into the U.S. In other words, Haney and his team were getting somewhere. But a year into that investigation, Haney says they got a visit from the State Department and the Homeland Security Civil Rights Division, who said that tracking these groups and individuals was, quote, problematic because they were Islamic groups. Haney says the investigation was shut down and 67 of his records deleted. Among them, an investigation into an organization with ties to the
San
mosque in
Bernardino.
Riverside that San Bernardino terrorist Saeed Farouk attended. And he believes if his work had been allowed
We
to
knew
continue,
about it.
it may have thwarted last week's attack.
Just like
Haney said a few
Benghazi.
years ago, he notified Congress and the DHS Inspector General about the investigation into Islamic groups being terminated, but instead of the investigation being reinstated, Haney claims his superiors retaliated, pulling him from his duties and revoking his security clearance. We just got off the phone with Homeland Security. They told us there are many holes in Mr. Haney's story, but they couldn't comment further because of privacy laws. Megan.
Trace, thank you. Joining me now with more, former Department of Homeland Security employee Philip Haney, and with reaction, Mark Thiessen, the former chief presidential speechwriter for President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor.
So by the way, yeah, if you missed that, yeah, of course, just like Benghazi, we could have stopped San Bernardino, what happened in California. And the man on the right is the man who was suicided. And actually, they kind of messed up. We'll get into it later, but the man on the right is the one who was suicided. He's the whistleblower. He's a true patriot. This is from 2015. Sorry.
To the detection of these two.
The network of individuals that we work with were tied to a large group called Tablighi Jamaat, part of a larger group called Deobandi. We had thousands of organizations or individuals in the database, and we tracked them as they moved in and out of the United States on the visa waiver program. That's what first brought the group to our attention. And as we developed the case, as we started putting the pieces in place, we gained more and more evidence of their activities.
And they were connected to Farouk's mosque?
Farouk Mosque is called Dar Uloom. It's a global network of similar kinds of mosques under the umbrella of this organization.
And so under your program, you would have identified the mosque and done what?
I can tell you how I would have identified it because individuals that were already in the case in 2012 went to that mosque. Therefore, as we were tracking them, we would have put the red light on them. Therefore, two things very plausibly would have happened. Either Syed would have been put on the no-fly list because of association with that masjid, and or the K-1 visa that his wife was given may have been denied because of his affiliation with the known organization.
And you say they shut you down because they felt this was essentially profiling of Muslims.
They specifically said that because we FOIA'd the case and we got the internal memos, and it says that we are not allowed to develop a case based on Tablighi Jamaat specifically and or any Islamic group.
We're not talking about peace-loving Muslims who are in the United States who have assimilated. We're talking about Islamists who believe in Sharia and much worse.
Yes, the correct term is Salafi. It means original. They go back to the way Islam used to be at the very beginning. Everybody in the world outside of America knows about the Deobandis. i.e. the Tablighi Jamaat group. We don't know as much about them here yet, but that was exactly the organization that I worked with. We started the case 6 years prior. Then I came to the National Targeting Center and worked on that case specifically. Then I went back to my home port, and I discovered that as soon as I left, they shut the case down. By the way, they gave me a commendation letter for finding 300 terrorists related specifically to the initiative.
Mark, we've seen the dismantling of the intelligence we had set up in the Iraq area after we took over there. We've seen the CIA black sites where we interrogated terrorists. That's done.
Yeah.
They just further eroded our abilities to interrogate terrorists on Capitol Hill.
That's right.
One after the other. We're seeing, I mean, the president holding don't discriminate against Muslims up on equal footing to, we don't want any more terror attacks, right? I'm not saying discrimination is a good thing, but what we've seen in the numbers doesn't match up to what the terror threat right now. And it has people feeling very disconcerted.
Absolutely, and it's political correctness run amok. If this is true that the Department of Homeland Security actually shut down an investigation that could have stopped this terrorist attack because they didn't want to profile a Muslim group, this mosque, that's political correctness run amok. And we've seen this. We've got a president who is willing to condemn gun violence, but is unwilling to say the words Islamic radicalism. We just saw in this case that the neighbors of Farouk and Malik were afraid to turn them in, even though they saw suspicious activity, because they didn't want to be called Islamophobes. Political correctness kills, and we are in a miasma of political correctness in this country today, and it's got to stop.
And the administration doesn't even understand why people are a little reluctant to let 10,000 Syrian refugees come into the country when, we can't even keep the one woman who is obviously tied to radicals abroad was let in with no problems.
No, that's exactly right. And look, the president says that we're betraying American values. The Republicans are, because they don't want to let in 10,000 Syrian refugees. They said they're mostly women and children. Well, this is a woman with a 6-month-old child who just killed 16 people. I mean, so Republicans raise legitimate security concerns, and they're basically accused of being anti-Muslim bigots. This is deadly stuff. It's got to stop.
The people are not against Muslims. They are against radical Muslims and those who affiliate with the Sharia and the Salafi, who could potentially be problematic. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks, Mike.
You know, sir, they come over, could be a killer, murderer, rapist. They come over, we can't do anything. We have to be politically correct. We catch them. We then say, what's your address? They don't know. They don't even know their country in many cases. Where do you come from? We don't know. And they mean it. But some are very serious criminals. So we catch them. We take whatever they can take, which is nothing. And then we had to release them to our country. We can't bring them back. And then we have a system of judges, thousands of judges all over the place. You got to be like Perry Mason. And every illegal that comes in, they have the lawyers. The lawyers read them. They get fees. They get paid fees. But we're breaking the system. No more catch and release. You think that was easy? And the big thing is that 30-foot, and this wall is built exactly to the specifications of Border Patrol. Totally. And Border Patrol has seized the largest amount just recently of deadly narcotics ever recorded. The largest amount. We've deported record numbers of gang members. We've done more to secure the border than any administration in history. We are, as I said, building the wall.
I think I have a mic problem. Why isn't it registering? My mic. Oh, it might be under here. Yeah, it is. All right. You should be able to hear me. You guys can hear me? So the reason I played the Trump video as well is because I wanted to show the sharp contrast between how we were talking about things in 2015 and political correctness. Now listen, I'm somebody, I believe in, not discriminating. I believe in all of that. But when there's people around the world that want to kill you of a specific group and you're monitoring them, we all know NSA is monitoring everything. More than you know. That's all I'll tell you. They know what these people are up to. Yet they called it off. They called off the. They said no. You heard what the man said. The whistleblower. He had them on his radar, along with I think it was like 70 something others, and all their files were deleted. That was during the Obama administration. Just like Benghazi, they knew it was going to happen before it happened. All in the name of not discriminating. And I understand that. But it's like the coronavirus. It's not discriminating if somebody's Asian to ask a few more questions and, take precautions. I laid next to one who just got back from China, and it was all over the news, and I'm almost positive it was her. I mean, I was laying next to her one night, the next day, and her symptoms were what it was. They had this crazy thing. It was like a Google thing or something. Whenever she talked, it would put it into English, and the doctor would talk, and it would put it into Mandarin or whatever she talked, and whatever she spoke. And so you guys can hear me. Okay, so I understand that. And the same thing when you have Muslims that are trying to commit terrorist acts. Now, the poor Asian people, they're just coming back from China and, potentially sick. But when it comes to people trying to commit terrorist acts, they totally just dropped the ball. And this guy blew the whistle. So what happened to this guy? Well, here's a story for you. I had to copy and paste this because not to. So the press release said, on February 21st, 2020, at approximately 10-12 hours, deputies and detectives responded to the area of Highway 124 and Highway 16 in Plymouth to report of a male subject on the ground with a gunshot wound. Upon their arrival, they located and identified the 66-year-old Philip Haney. Now, he was the man from the video. He was the man that on the right in the video. And I spoke to somebody close to him about right before the accident. And they're pissed. They said he would never, ever kill himself. And my source agrees. So, who was deceased and appeared to have suffered a single self-inflicted gunshot wound. A firearm was located next to Haney and his vehicle. This investigation is active and ongoing. No further details will be released at this time. Sources who spoke with the Washington Examiner said that Haney was exploring a return to the Department of Homeland Security and was engaged to be married. The key there, he was exploring a return to the Department of Homeland Security. Now, mind you, this man, he was part of forming Homeland Security. Now, Homeland Security, do they do a lot of shady stuff? Yeah. But there's good guys in there, and he was one of them. And he blew the whistle when he had these radicals in his sights, and the Trump administration came down on him and said, no, that's discriminating. And then they carried out the attack on San Bernardino. Haney was an Arabic culture and language expert, so he knew what he was doing. He knew. an outspoken critic of the Obama administration, particularly over its handling of Islamic extremism. Haney testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee in June 2016 that the Obama DHS ordered him to delete hundreds of files on individuals believed to be involved in Islamic extremism. Haney also said publicly that the government possessed enough information to prevent domestic Islamic terror attacks, including the San Bernardino attack in December 2015, which caused him to blow the whistle. So what do we have here? We have another man shot, I believe it was in the head. Did they say the chest? I thought it was head. Tony, you saw chest? We can. There's all kinds of. I had all kinds of articles up earlier. But the main point is, this man was trying to do the right thing, and now with Trump as president, he was trying to get back in it, because although if you look at Obama, you know what? Let's look it up. I mean, this is dark stuff. This is when people talk about the deep state, this is what we're talking about. All right, they're taking out. I mean, all we're gonna find is how bad he was with whistleblowers, but I want to see. I want to see one where that from when he was campaigning. Here he is again.
Twist. In the death investigation of a government whistleblower, his body found in Amador County.
His death, first believed to be suicide, but now investigators are backtracking.
CBS 14 turned Boone with what detectives are now saying.
66-year-old Philip Haney, a former DHS officer, was known in D.C. circles as a person who never held back his opinions, even about his boss, President Barack Obama.
I was told to remove all unauthorized references to terrorism.
Testifying to Congress as a whistleblower about Obama, claiming that the then president was not taking the threat of terrorism seriously.
I would like to show you now the logo of the Muslim Brotherhood, the moderate organization that this administration chose to ally itself with.
In 2016, Haney even wrote a book, See Something, Say Nothing, highlighting his concern.
We've been inundated with a lot of...
Wow. Just wow, huh? So now the detectives, this is my first time seeing this one. Now the detectives are thinking, this stinks. They were probably thinking it the whole time, but now they're coming out publicly saying it. And you guys heard what he said right there about the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood, you look at things like, there's a lot of funding out of Iran and Qatar. For instance, Ilhan Omar, she's funded out of Qatar, along with her husband, brother, both.
Gunshot wound in Amador County over the weekend.
Everything we saw on scene is consistent with somebody putting a gun to themselves and pulling the trigger. Now we're not making a statement that this was in fact suicide.
Previous reports did indicate Haney's death was a suicide, but deputies haven't made that determination as of yet. His body was found in a car in this park and ride that's along Highway 16. It's less than 3 miles from where he lived in an RV park. Investigators are not saying if foul play was involved. Deputies say it is a standard to analyze these type of incidents before any ruling can be made.
Every death that occurs in the county, when it comes to something like this, we treat and look at it as a homicide until we prove otherwise.
Now, the FBI is part of this ongoing investigation, and we're told an autopsy will happen very soon.
I'll take the whole thing seriously.
So, I mean, what do you guys think about that? I mean, now homicide. I'm ruling out suicide. I'll tell you that. I mean, this guy was like the whistleblowers of whistleblowers, and he didn't hold back. True patriot, true patriot. And by the way, if you guys want to donate, the best way to donate to the show, and it could go towards equipment, it can go towards personal. Just put in the note what you would like it to go towards. That's why every dollar that's been donated for equipment has been used for equipment. I'm not like other channels, just says something and does it. You know, if I say it, it's gonna be done. Except sometimes I'll say, all right, and I'll be back on tonight. And then I'm not, because, you know, whether it be Olivia or I'm just exhausted. That's the only time, but that's not lying. That's just wishful thinking. It just doesn't work out sometimes. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that? I mean, he told so much, and you saw he went in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he ends up dead with a bullet wound. And like I said, I spoke to someone who knows him well. I spoke to a source who knows about the situation. They both say that he didn't kill himself. This is what happens. I just can't, and you know, this is to back point on Jagzilla, the phone call, the caller. You know, he said, when I asked him about, you know, the deep state and being taken out and all that, he said, well, it's pretty hard to take them out. And I said, well, you got to do it one by one, which is what Q supposedly is doing, the Q team. But they're not done. In fact, they're desperate. And we're going to see more stuff like this. They're going to start taking out people who have the goods on them. And you saw the key word. I'll show you the key word. Look at this key word here. The key word in this document. Come on. Okay. The key word here. So upon their other located by 66-year-old Philip Haney, who was deceased and appeared to have suffered a single self-inflicted gunshot wound. A firearm was located next to Haney and his vehicle. This investigation is active and ongoing. No further details will be released at the time. Sources who spoke with the Washington Examiner said that Haney was exploring a return. Haney, this is it. This is the reason. Haney was exploring a return to the Department of Homeland Security. That is the smoking gun, for lack of a better term. That's what I think it is. That's why. You know, you think, well, there's so many. Why him? That's why. He had the goods. He got screwed. He had some, you know, San Bernardino could have been prevented. And not just that, he, you know, all his files being deleted like that. It's like, you know, the government was clearly working with the Muslim Brotherhood. And we're seeing it pop its ugly head up here and there in politics. And they're using our own institutions against us. It's funny how they do that. And really, the biggest thing that they're using against us is the media. You heard it. The people next door to the San Bernardino couple knew they were bad news, but they were scared to call the police because they didn't want to be called Islamophobes. Now, mind you, this is California, so everybody's, they're word policing. So they were scared and this is back before Trump too, before people started waking up. I mean, I was awake before that, but I just think the mass majority of people woke up after Trump, and yeah, I've already said a couple prayers for that man because he's a true patriot, and I don't want his name just to be another story and forgotten. So, Philip Haney, he was part of creating the Department of Homeland Security, but he had good intentions. He really wanted to protect people, and he was very good at what he did. And you saw his major was Islamic culture. Like he just knew their way and how they do. And he knew a lot about the Muslim Brotherhood. He knew about the Muslim Brotherhood and our connection with them. He knew about McCain and ISIS. ISIS calls McCain the Godfather. We funded ISIS. An army doesn't just pop up out of nowhere with all the equipment in the world, but USA stomped on it. All our equipment and equipment they seized from, Iraq, Syria. So, Philip Haney, I just don't want that name to go. So he was shot in the chest. So that's really shady. That's really shady. You would think they would do a headshot in a certain way where it seems like he did it. Wow. U.S. aid supplied them. Yeah, I mean, that's what Benghazi, the whole reason they covered up Benghazi is because they were moving guns from, oh, my head. That's why I hate the head injury. It worries me. I'm not as quick. From, was it Lebanon? They were moving no. Wasn't it where Gaddafi was? So they were moving them. No, were they moving them from? Yeah, they were moving them from Libya to over to Syria or Iraq or something like that. So they're moving them from Lebanon, not Lebanon. My head. My God, with Gaddafi, Libya. They're moving them from Libya to Syria, and basically, I think that something happened in Benghazi where they either found out about that or it was created as a distraction so they could move these arms. And I know guys who were on the ground who were told to stand down. Now, I guess this I don't know if it had to have been bigger than a company, but I don't know how big the group was. But an officer took one group, and that's the only reason that some people lived at Benghazi. That was weird, huh? As soon as I say that. So yeah, they were moving them. I'll say it again. They were moving them from Libya to Syria. I'm almost positive that's what it is. Libya to Syria. I just had a head injury, but I'm almost positive it was Libya. And so, I mean, we had already taken out Libya. And by the way, Libya had a great way of life. They were self-sufficient, but they made a mistake. They were going to break away from the petrodollar. All of a sudden, he was the villain. And as Hillary said, they came, they saw, they conquered. Ha, ha, ha. You know how he died? His own people sticking stuff up his ass until he died. Yeah. So, you know, the U.S. under Obama was not. And then we got in Pakistan, we got drones flying around with kill lists that supposedly no human knows the actual people on this list. A lot of shady crap went on during the Obama administration. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I promise you it's coming out. I stick to facts. I stick to what I can prove. The only thing where I go off on a limb, although there's been so many proofs that it's hard to deny, but a lot of people still do, is the Q team. One thing I will say is I do wonder, is AI involved? Because some of it's just so precise. I also wonder about the end game, but what I do know is that it's legit and it makes sense. And when you really go through and read it, and over and over and over, what I knew and talked about months ago comes true, like to the T. It's hard to deny it when that happens so many times. Oh yeah, Gaddafi was amazing. He wasn't the villain they made him out to be, in my opinion. You know, so yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. Rest in peace, Philip Haney. A true patriot. And with that, it's the Red Pill Dispensary. And I'll be doing a show tomorrow. Have a great night.